Hey there, planners. You guys recently told me that you would like to see more about my monthly reset process and my goal setting for the month. So today I am approaching the end of the month. I thought it was a fantastic time to go through the steps real time with you about how I close out one month and get ready for the next. It doesn't matter what planner you're using or what planner system, digital, analog, pre-printed planner, bullet journal, doesn't matter. These steps will apply no matter what planner you're using and help you get ready for the month ahead. So go grab your planners and let's get planning. So I have read a ton of productivity books. I have used a ton of different goal planners and types of planners. And one thing that's very common across most planner and goal setting systems is reflection and how important looking back and evaluating how things went and identifying what could have gone better and how you're going to do better next time is a core piece of any goal planning productivity system. I have found that this is a really handy tool for me, particularly at the monthly end. I do go through a weekly review process, but it's not as in-depth and detailed as the monthly process. And so I want to talk about how I do that today and share sort of the steps with you. There are bits and pieces that happen in my planner. There's bits and pieces that happen in a journal. And so I just kind of want to talk about the process with you that as I'm going through it. So this is my bullet journal. I'm going to turn to a place in my bullet journal where I actually have some of these steps set up for reference for myself. So if I flip back, I've got like a lot of questions written here, and this is my annual, my quarterly, my monthly, and weekly review system. These are the steps that I take. So obviously weekly review is used most frequently, monthly review a little bit less, and then quarterly and annually are at a much higher level. What I have written here are my journaling questions, and I will have the monthly review questions listed down in the description box of this video for you to reference. So you'll see here, I'm going to pull off this little tab because I do have this little tab that I can pull out and you kind of set aside and use as I'm journaling. And this is my monthly reset process at a really high level. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But here are the questions that I ask myself every month, and I actually go through some journaling, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm just going to pull out my journal and set it up for journaling for this. I'll show you what I use. I like to use a digital journal for this step in the process. So this is my iPad Pro. I have some videos all about digital planning and digital journaling and how much I love those. I'll have some of those listed down below. But I just find that having this journaling in a digital journal makes it really easy for me to highlight and pull out the key themes and topics. So I'm going to slide this out of the way. All right, so I use GoodNotes. Now there's lots of different applications that you can use for digital planning and digital journaling. I like GoodNotes. I like the aspect of actually writing in a journal, and so that's what I'm going for. When it comes to digital planning, typing doesn't really help my thoughts flow. I need to write it, and so writing in a digital journal really helps me. I have a notebook set up. I'm actually going to be setting up this section of the notebook for my monthly journaling. So I'm going to give it, what color am I feeling? This is the end of the month of July. Maybe like a red color. Yeah. And then I'm just going to give this a title. All right, so now I'm set up and ready to go. I actually have my paper here and ready to go, ready to write. How I will do this is I'm using like a Cornell style note paper. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see this a little better. I'm using like a Cornell style note paper, which has a left-hand column. And so I will actually write out the question that I'm answering. So describe this month in 5 words. I will write that over here and then I will answer it here. And I will just keep going until I'm done journaling about this month. So obviously I'm not going to do this on camera. I'm probably going to have some, personal private things written here in my journaling responses. I'm sure you will too. So why don't we both take a pause here? You go journal about your month using the questions down in the description box. I'm going to journal about my month, and we'll meet on the other side of our journaling. All right, so step 1 of my monthly reset, which is to conduct monthly journaling, that's done. I've got all the questions answered. I really took my time with that, spent some time on it, and did all the journaling, really reflecting and just kind of free flowing. I'm not judging as I'm writing, just writing everything as it comes. The next step in my monthly reset is to set up my new planner. I have already shared my monthly plan with me and planner set up for the month of August. So you guys have seen this already. This is already set up and ready to go. All my pages, including my goal setting page. So this is where I'm going to be capturing my monthly goals. So my next step, if you haven't set up your planner for the month ahead and you're doing this monthly reset with me, take the time, pause the video, take the time, go set up your planner, whatever that means to you. But you want to have already in your view, things like what events are going on this month. What big activities do you have? What big commitments? Do you have due dates? Things like that, because that is going to play into what are your goals and how much time do you have to spend on them. So definitely make sure whatever steps you normally take to set up your planner for the month, make sure that you are taking those. The next step is to review your quarterly goals and write your monthly goals. So I have already set up the goal planning page in my planner, which includes my word of the year and my verse of the year, as well as my quarterly goals in each of the areas that I have goals. So I have a spiritual goal, a family goal, a health goal, a home goal, and a resources goal. These are the overarching goals, and then the quarterly goal is written out beside each one. So what I want to do now is to write out the monthly goals and to break down those monthly goals into actionable steps. I've got this captured as 2 separate steps here. Sometimes I just kind of put them together and do it as one step. Today, I think what I'm going to be doing is kind of writing out a monthly sentence and then capturing a couple of actions for each one. And I can base that on the progress that I've made and where I'm headed for the overall quarter. So spend some time thinking about that. You want to use your journaling. You should have some insights from your journaling. So think about what are the themes, the trends, things that you're worried about, where you said you learned lessons, how can you apply those in your goals this time? Really use that journaling and that reflection that you did as input for the goals that you're writing this time. So first step I'm going to take is to write down what the monthly goal is, and then I will be capturing 1 or 2 or 3 items, probably 4 at the max, that I'm going to be actually doing this month. All right, so now I've taken the time to give myself a monthly goal statement. You'll see that highlighted here. And I also have given myself a couple of actions, 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 actions that I want to accomplish this month. So that's really both of those. I also have the question here, if I'm to establish those success measures for the goals this month. I try to think about that as I'm writing the goals to make them easy to measure whether they're successful or not. I try to keep it as objective as possible. There are going to be some goals that are subjective, and that is, where you just have to kind of go with your gut, but actually spend some time thinking about how you're going to measure these. Are they very easy? So for example, I have a goal here around my health to make sure I schedule my dermatologist appointment. That's going to be very easy for me to say, yep, that's done, check. Whereas some other ones may not be that easy to measure. Okay. Really be thinking about, for me, I have this on here about asking, where am I going to need God's wisdom and guidance on here, and making sure I'm incorporating into my prayers. That's something I will continue to journal about as I'm doing my, my morning routine and my scripture studies and my prayers. That's something I will be thinking about these goals and how I can ask for that guidance. The next step is to conduct a brain dump and use trigger lists and capture those. So that's going to be the next thing I do. I am going to flip over to my to-do list. I have this blank list, and I'm just going to go through my trigger list. I'm keeping those in this little journal here, where I've got several trigger lists that I will just flip through and look through. In the past, I've also had trigger lists actually captured in my planner. So whatever method you want to do, just take a minute, or maybe you just want to brainstorm, just sit and think about what are the things. Take that time to empty your mind of all the things that you know you need to think about or deal with or do something about this month, and that includes the goals you just set. You want to make sure you have those on your list as well. All right, so I've gone through my brain dump triggers, and I did add a few things, not a lot of things right now, but I will continue to do that every week as part of my weekly review process. The next thing I need to do is to capture action items from all of those areas for the next week ahead. So that means flipping over to my first week in August and capturing what are those to do. So I am going to do that off camera and do a little bit more preparation for the week ahead. I really hope that this helps you see how I am breaking down those annual goals that I have into manageable steps and really doing that reset for the month ahead, using some cheat sheets and tools that I have, but really starting with sort of journaling and, you know, allowing yourself to be a little bit creative, not being judgmental about what you're writing, but just really reflecting on how the month has gone. That is so key to part of my process, and so I get so much value out of looking back at the result of that, identifying those themes, those trends, those things that stand out, and really incorporating those into my goals for the month ahead. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give me a thumbs up. Leave your questions, your comments, your own thoughts and ideas down in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going. Subscribe to Plannin' Annie for more content like this, and as always, thanks for planning with me.